really unusual. I think we never thought we'd actually, first of all, be in the same room. Never. Like, this has been a trip today. We're both at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, and we did a panel earlier today, and we've never really done a panel before, so that was pretty crazy. I did one about a year and a half ago, but today was a huge one, and it was interesting. And then we're like, hey, I remember you guys always saying like to do another game chat, and I don't think we'll ever have this meeting again for quite some time. So I thought
got to take advantage of it while we're doing this.
Exactly. So we thought we'd actually just come in here and just talk about gaming, like some recent types of stuff, some stuff that maybe we saw in Portland, anything like that. So, first of all, what's your thoughts about like Portland Retro Gaming Expo?
Dude, so far, I haven't been to a lot of conventions. Like you and me were sitting there talking about that. It's like, don't get to go to a lot, but this one, it's a shit ton bigger than what I thought it was going to be initially. That I was actually kind of thrown off by that, and I still need to go to the actual arcade area because they got so many. They got
like 10 of Defender. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of stuff.
Well, did you see the 70s couch? It looks like it's from Married with Children.
Yes.
I sat there playing like by myself like a couple of Atari games. I'm just like, I'm so lonely.
You know what? It would have been great if we could have done this episode there. Well, that would have been crazy.
I mean, people that start coming in like this, and they're just like, "What are you doing? What's going on here?" And it's just like,
"What are you doing? What are you doing in my house? Get the fuck out of here," type of thing. But you know what got me today walking in is I thought it was going to be a lot of different rooms, but it's one room, and it's amazing though. They've actually got so much stuff in one room. Sometimes you go to conventions and it's like one room and it's like, oh, this is shit. There's nothing there, right?
And then no people either. Tumbleweed going by.
Oh my god, that used to be me in comic book conventions in 1987 when comic books weren't a big thing. I'd go to a comic book convention. It was like me and 5 dealers and a couple of comic books. It was really, really goofy. But nowadays, like you come to this thing, it's just absolutely amazing.
I actually got this at the last comic convention I went to.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, wearing my Pittsburgh pride, but yeah, this one and like you said, it's like if you see it, imagine like a huge ass warehouse, and then it's like sectioned off because it's like, okay, dealer areas over here, arcade areas over here, and it's just, and some people have really elaborate setups, like the people building the house looking thing.
When I walked in, they got carpenters making this giant house just to put their games in to sell them. I'm like,
I mean, one, that's dedication, but it goes to show that it's not just like a little shindig. I mean, this is like a big deal, and it's pretty awesome. What's it been like for you for getting games, like going around, finding games, stuff like that? I mean, I really just looked around yesterday. Like today, I mean, you and me we've been busy pretty much since we got up. Yesterday, it was before like everybody could really enter. They were still setting up. So, get first crack at some stuff if possible. And, I was talking about Splatterhouse. I had seen Splatterhouse there. That's one of the things I'm kind of after. But the
box for $30.
Yeah.
I said you should just grab it. It's such a good deal.
If it's still there, more than likely I'm going to. And you being a big Working Designs fan, was telling Johnny, came across Growlancer Generations on PlayStation 2, and it's sealed.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hell yeah, I'll take that.
One of the last Working Designs games we were talking about.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately.
That always makes me so sad.
Yeah. But what did I grab? To be honest, I was walking around, and there's a lot of stuff, to be honest with you, that is fucking overpriced. It's insane. God, yeah. I saw a Final Fight guy going for $400, and that was the Japanese version, and that's what it's kind of going for. I thought the Japanese version would be about $300 maybe-ish, and all that. And then Wild Guns was going for $450, and Wild Guns is such a great game, but I think everybody wants to have that back in the day.
I know that there's
so expensive.
This one particular table. It's like two-sided, so you can walk on like either side of it, and it's real crazy because I mean the dude, he's got really awesome stuff. But I swear, he has it there pretty much as like these are the games that are going to draw you in, and then you see the price tag, and then you're just gonna be like, okay, I
gotta go.
Something better.
Yeah, I'd always say like, oh my god, it's Breath of Fire 2 for $140.
Yeah, it's like, and suddenly I just don't feel like going on adventures with Ryu.
Yeah, it just doesn't have. It's really funny that but then there's some things you find you'll walk around and get amazing deals. Yeah. But I'll be honest, I'm just gonna be flat out honest. If you're going to go to one of these conventions, it's best to get up really early, get down there, because there's so many game scopers down there, game chasers, whatever you want to call it. But people are there trying to get the best deals in the games they can. They're fucking experts,
and on top of that, you're going to have like other resellers who are going to be showing up trying to go grab stuff so that they can go and sell it because they know what it's actually worth. Yeah. So it's kind of like a competition to a certain degree.
You know, and it's so funny. I've met like some people come up to me, fans of like the show, which was, you know, it's always amazing to meet people who watch our shows. It's awesome, and it's so funny to meet some of these guys. They're like, because they have so many games. Like I'm like, oh, have you bought anything? They're like, yeah, these 2 bags, and and I'm like, holy shit, man, I bought like 3 games.
Well, that was like during the panel. The one dude had just 2 gigantic bags.
Yeah,
stuff.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
holy shit, that's a lot of stuff.
That's a lot of stuff, yeah.
And meanwhile, we're like, hey, we got like 3 games in 1 game.
Yeah, and I was really thrifty with mine. I got like Faxanadu for $15. I got UN Squadron boxed for $30. I love
that. That game deserves so much more love.
So happy to get that. And Alyssa Dragoon for $30, which is a steal. It was meant, and that was it for me. We were talking, where's the best place to buy video games? Like, coming to something like this, Sega CD, you know, Snatcher. I'm always looking for Snatcher, but it's so expensive.
Haven't even seen it.
Didn't even see it.
That's kind of crazy.
And I was saying at the panel, you almost have to go to eBay. It sucks.
Yeah. You know, the thing is, even if you find Snatcher, it was such a rare and limited game. Even back when it came out, it wasn't easy to find.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about it. But if you do, it's like jump on it because it like I've considered it the best Sega CD game.
Of course, ever. Of course. You know, it's a classic. You know, actually about Snatcher, I've always wondered. Can you understand, like, figure this out? Why they would never release Snatcher and Policenauts on the 3DS? Why would you never do that? As a compilation, people would buy it. The fans, we would make videos about that. We would be so excited about that.
Well, there was talks that they were gonna, like, for example, Policenauts, which unfortunately never came to any English-speaking country, which is just...
There's a fan translation that's out, 2 discs. It's really good, but that's hard to make and to get.
You have to have, like, I mean, most people think, oh, just download a ROM, and the thing is, the emulators they can't handle it because of the way that's done. So you actually have to have like a modded PlayStation, and you have to burn the discs and stuff. But if you're a diehard like us, it's worth all the effort.
It is. Actually, for me to play Policenauts, I got through the first disc. It was one of my bucket list games, a game I have to finish before I die. And it was so good. And you're like, why would you not put this on a machine? Why would you? It's already made. Yeah. Fans want it. I put both of the games on.
No, it's so weird. Like, I was having this conversation. People like will swear heresy. Oh my god! But I'm like, Hideo Kojima. He makes really amazing games, but it just seems like he always focuses on Metal Gear. And it's like, well, what about another Lunar Nights? What about another Zone of the Enders? What about re-releasing Snatcher?
Yeah,
I would like if I saw it for download, I'd be so happy because that means more people could finally play it again.
Yeah, totally, and maybe get now see this is typical of the show. I think we could dream about getting a sequel to Snatcher.
And then we sit there all dreamy-eyed like,
oh jeez, so nice. Gillian Seed.
Yeah, I want to kill more of the Snatchers running around, going and doing bad impersonations.
Oh man.
People. And that game was gory.
The game was gory, and it was also heavily influenced by Blade Runner, which is a great thing.
Yeah.
And Terminator, and it was a great thing. Japanese culture was really influenced by a lot of American movies, and Terminator and The Thing did a real big, no pun intended, thing for them. And so they started really emulating and Terminator and all that kinds of stuff, and it got into some of their games, especially Blade Runner as well. And it was really cool to see some of those Japanese games that were, kind of following that kind of shit. But anyways, I'm just getting off on a tangent there. I don't even know where I'm going, but back to
game chat. You can do
game chat. Yeah. So Grand Theft Auto, we were talking about that. I know me and Rob talked about it in the last game chat, but have you played it? Like, what do you think?
I've been wanting to so much. It's one of those things, like, it came out, I picked the game up with all intentions of playing it, but was in the midst of just running around all over the place, plus I was playing Persona 4 Golden.
Yeah, which you did quite a lot in, right?
Yeah, because if you want to get, like, the secret ending, which is, like, a really big extra in the game, because they have an extra character, a new ending, and all this stuff, so you have to go the whole 9 yards. So I went and looked it up online, make sure, like, I could actually do that. I ended up dropping 63 hours into it. It's one of the things, like, I actually have a newfound love for it again. I like the original a lot, but I swear it's probably one of the best RPGs I've played in recent memory, and I don't know why. Sometimes you have to go back and play through something to fully appreciate it.
And that's the thing for me is I actually own the game. I got the special edition when it first came out, thinking that I'm going to buy a Vita. I still haven't bought a Vita.
Oh, you got to.
I know I do. Like, at Hanzo, who does the artwork on the show, he came over and he's like, "Hey, check out my Vita." And I checked it out. He's got all the old RPGs on there, Wild Guns, Wild Arms, and all Final Fantasy VII, and all these fucking fantastic games. I'm like, yeah, of course I should do this, but
I've got a Parasite Eve sitting on mine right now.
Yeah, you know that.
I'm like 6 hours.
And that's what you can do. You can have Parasite Eve 1, 2, and then Third Birthday right on there as well.
I was gonna say avoid Third Birthday. Trust me when I say this.
Do you know what? There's a fan of the show. I got a copy of the game. He's like, you have to play it. You have to play it. And he always bugs me about it. He's like, have you played it yet? I'm like, no, not yet. Jesus. And you're saying it's not very good?
Here's the thing. I'm a big fan of the first 2 games. Yeah. I mean, number one, you don't get too many RPGs that are set in like modern day.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And not only did it pull it off, like the presentation at the time was very slick, very unique.
Yeah.
And
it's very cinematic. Remember, the cinematic RPG was known as.
Well, it's also a horror game.
Yeah,
that's the thing, and the second one plays more like Resident Evil, which people complain about, but
I love the second one.
Yeah, it's really awesome. But the Third Birthday, which is a shame because they actually lost the copyright to having the Parasite Eve name. That's why.
Because it was based on a book.
Yeah,
and then they made a live action movie. And actually, we've got a Halloween episode. We're going to talk about Parasite Eve. It's coming up pretty quick. But what were we going on about?
Oh yeah, about Third Birthday.
Third Birthday. Stay away from it, you're saying.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like really? A lot of people say, well, on its own merit, it's a good game. But it's like I'm coming into it as a longtime Parasite Eve.
Yeah, is it more of an action game?
Very much.
So it's like a Resident Evil 5
the story,
to the series kind of thing.
It really is. Yeah. But the thing that kills it is the story makes almost no sense. It really doesn't. Like, I don't know if it's due to just bad writing or bad translation, but it especially the ending. After I watched the ending, I was actually like kind of irritated. I'm like, I've been waiting for years, and I went out, I got it immediately, went to a store, picked it up, and just like, wow, I felt like I completely wasted my money.
How many hours you spent on it?
About 30.
Well, see, I'm such a Parasite Eve fan. I'm like a real fan of the game too, like you are. Yeah. I feel I have to play Third Birthday, like even if it sucks.
Oh, here's the thing that I'll tell anybody you should play, because I mean, I could tell everybody the game sucks really bad, but you may end up enjoying it. But it's one of those things I came away from it just being like, you should have been so much better. Like the combat system in it is good combat system, but I wanted like the actual games. Like it didn't feel like an RPG anymore. It just felt like an action game. That's not what I wanted.
The biggest thing that sucks about this is because Third Birthday obviously didn't do that well.
Yeah.
Obviously. And I don't think they pimped it very much. They didn't really care to. We will never get a next generation Parasite Eve. God! See, what I'm mad about these days is I feel that they don't make the games that I used to play. Nowadays, I feel like I used to play like Parasite Eve and all this kind of stuff, and they don't make those games anymore. They don't make Wonder Boy games anymore.
I want a new generation Lunar game. Like
I've
been dying for something like that.
So funny that you say that. I just did a video on that and said, wouldn't it be great if we got Lunar 3? I did. Yep. Yeah. I was talking about my top 10 console RPGs, and I mentioned Lunar in there. It had to be in there. It is a classic. It is a
great PlayStation 1 and Sega CD. It's just like it's amazing.
And it's weird. A third one. Yeah, we're going into the dreaminess again. Right?
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to. But I mean, and it's weird because now we get to see like some of these Kickstarter projects where it can kind of make these things a reality.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice in that respect.
And we live in a time where like for Mighty Number 9 had to get funded because it wasn't going to happen. Or it would have happened, but it wouldn't be maybe what it's going to become.
I think because of the Kickstarter made it more special.
It made it better.
Because it's like, I mean, fans were like going far out of their way. I mean, when I heard about it, got excited. When you heard about it, got excited because it's like, this really is Mega Man. This is the successor, and it will continue to live on. And that's what fans deserve. Capcom, you can 4 Mega Man games. 4.
Yeah. Like, it's crazy, yeah. And I know you did a whole rant video on, they only have 140 or was it 151 million in the bank?
152 million.
52.
And that's not a lot for a
company. It's not a lot for a big company like that, and projects that cost a lot. Is this really, are those figures real? Do we know? Like,
yeah. It ended up getting confirmed, and the thing is, to us, it's like, wow, 152 million, that's a lot, but think about the cost of a AAA title, which will cost in the millions, like Resident Evil 6. That was their highest budgeted game ever, didn't meet their sales quota, and it ended up, just kind of pissing off a lot of fans because we were expecting return to form, and instead it was like you're just trying to be like a Hollywood blockbuster movie, and it seemed confused on its identity.
Resident Evil Revelations was the true next generation. Yes. I remember you talking about the 3DS version. I was like, oh, I'm intrigued, but I don't want to play a Resident Evil on the handheld. And then I ended up getting it for the PS3, and it was. Did you know this? I finished the game in one sitting.
Really?
I got the game. I came home.
That's actually impressive.
Kim's in the other room, but she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make cookies." I'm like, "Great! I'm gonna have some tea." And I put it on and brought out these cookies, and I just play it all night. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Until I get to the goddamn water level in the end. I was screaming because I started at 5. This is about 12:30, 1 at night, and I'm trying to do the water, and I'm like, I'm fucking freaking out. But god damn it, that was a return to Resident Evil.
It's essentially like, if you haven't played it, like if you ever played the old ones and were like, man, I really wish it would return to that. This is essentially like what a next gen Resident Evil game should be. It's totally about horror. You're in like when you first get onto the boat.
Perfect environment.
It's super quiet. You don't know what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden, like things are just coming out of everywhere after you. And the enemies actually look scary. It's not just dudes with guns that have like moldy-looking faces. Like that shit's not scary. It's scary that they thought it was scary.
And I honestly, there were some bosses I was on. I was like, I'd have 2 bullets left, and I'd shoot 1 bullet. I had 1 bullet left, and I'd kill him. I was like.
Best feeling in the entire world.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Because you don't want to have to run up and be like, melee.
Yeah, but that Resident Evil was always about conserving, and I love that. Resident Evil 5 was not about conserving.
No, that was like, welcome to the Resident Evil shooting gallery. Yeah, but when they said, like, the one area, they're like sending... was a bunch of like hunters after you. I think it was
Were they following you or something? I'm trying to remember. Oh, yeah.
They're basically like all caged, but they sent a whole bunch after you. Whereas in the first Resident Evil, just one hunter showed up, and you're shitting your pants. You're like, oh no, what do I do? And you just want to run. But now they're like sending barrages of them, and you're just like, it's like, that's not fun.
Yeah, it's not scary. The tension is gone, type of thing. So it is Brian from Game Deal is picking in the window.
Currently he's... Oh wait, he's unzipping his fly. That's funny.
That actually happened.
Yeah, literally.
Talk about taking us off topic there, for fuck's sake. But
creepers in the window and all like that.
But where was Resident Evil? What the fuck? Resident Evil?
Resident Evil Revelations.
Yeah, like you think of Resident Evil Nemesis. You'd have that one guy going, stars. And you go, oh my god, he's coming through the fucking wall. Remember that?
Okay, Nemesis coming after you the entire time.
That's amazing.
The
extra tension. The extra tension.
And he had his own theme music. As soon as you heard, you would just hear a door open, and you were like, oh fuck. And he just comes running at you. And... 9 times out of 10, you're just going to bolt out of there because it's like, I got a handgun. Yeah. And you have a rocket launcher and a lot of aggravation to go and take out.
Yeah.
So but no, Revelations, if they stick with that, or even like the remake that was on GameCube and Wii, that's essentially what fans have been wanting. Instead, they were trying to bring in a new audience and then say, hey, fuck you to all the established fans.
Doesn't make any sense. No. And Capcom's not doing well in that regard at all. They've lost who they were and what they're doing. And sometimes I feel like Square, if you say that, I feel always this is a touchy subject. If you bring up that Square, Enix is just in weird directions these days.
Well, it's weird because the Enix projects seem to be on track.
Yeah. Exactly. They're doing their normal thing.
But Square, on the other hand, it's like they have no clue like what they want to do anymore or what fans want. And then even when they know, it's kind of like this arrogant approach of, no, we know better.
Yeah, we know what you want. Okay, so Final Fantasy 13 came out, and I personally wasn't a big fan of it. And then 13.2 came out, and I was like, I'm as a fan... When these kind of games happen, I'm like, okay, people play them, get them out of the way, so we can move on to the next. So we get those games out of the way. I'm like, yes, next Final Fantasy. It's like Lightning Returns. I'm like,
stop it.
Oh, just come on. He's like, oh, but she's so popular. Lightning's so popular. And I'm like, I don't know anybody. He's like, oh my god, Lightning's the most amazing character in Japan.
No,
maybe.
The thing,
but not to any of my friends.
What's weird is like they spent so much money making that, and it's one of
they're reusing or something.
They're not even making that much back on it. It's so ridiculous to think like you spent all this money, you saw how pissed off people were, so you just decided to churn out 2 additional sequels, but you won't bring out Type 0 at all for whatever reason, which is like if you put it on the Vita. it'd be a system seller, or put it on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. Put it on something so people can play it. Instead, you're just going to sit on all that, potential money. And especially when people are like, yeah, bring it here. Oh, wait, no, we get more Final Fantasy 13.
Okay, so that's the bizarre thing. And see, for me, I'm old school. I'm like, I kind of want them to go back to medieval. Yep. And crystals and having, black mages and stuff again. That's what kind of... I'm old. I feel old now because I say that.
In Final Fantasy 9, a lot of people were excited whenever they did that. And then, summoners were like a really big deal within that. And it was just... It was a true fantasy world. Yeah. Now it just seems like...
It's always futuristic. Yeah. Always futuristic. And I got no problem with those kinds of settings. But like when I was playing Final Fantasy 13, I was just thinking to myself, this is just called the Star Ocean. It really doesn't change. It doesn't feel like Final Fantasy at all. They got rid of the wind music. Anything that was related to Final Fantasy is gone. And okay, here's another strange thing for me. Final Fantasy Versus, something that was promised for years, something I didn't even understand for years. And I never wanted to say that today, but I'm like, I don't really know what this Versus thing is. And it seems that they didn't either.
No.
Because then all of a sudden I'm reading all this Final Fantasy 15's coming up. I'm like, excellent. Finally, what are they going to do? And they're like, oh, by the way, Versus is 15. I'm like, are they even thinking, do they even know what's going on over there?
Well, I'll be honest, I saw it coming from a mile away, only because of this. Because they were like, no, we're actually going to bring it out. I'm like, watch them call it 15. I guarantee that's going to happen. And then it happened. Like, I always thought it was weird. I've been annoyed that they called Final Fantasy 11 Final Fantasy 11 instead of Final Fantasy Online. That always bugged the crap out of me because it's like 1 through 10.
It should be online and not usually the 11. Yeah. Right. I agree with that too, and I loved 11. I played the fucking shit out of it.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, some people they take that as you hate the game. It's like no, it's just one of those things. Like it's not.
It's not a single player game that should be in that series. Like type of thing. So.
It's one of those things that just bugs the crap out of me. But it's. I can honestly say that if Square doesn't hit it big with 15, I can see some really bad things for their future because they need it.
Well, what scares me, and I get scared easily, honestly. Like they start talking about that the combat's more action oriented, and I get nervous. I'm like, I like turn-based combat in Final Fantasy.
They think, oh, well, that's not exciting. That's not interesting. It's like, but you already know that your dedicated, diehard fan base is okay with it. Yeah. They like that, and it's absolutely fine. And you can still work with that and make it interesting. Yeah. Tons of RPGs.
Like for sure, we haven't played Final Fantasy 15 and all that, but we are nervous. I'm nervous about it. I'm really just kind of Final Fantasy these days. I'm like, what is going on?
Well, I'm confused. Nervous for a good reason because of their recent track record within like the past 2 console gens. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and do you know what? And the thing is because I am such a lover of video games and obviously the Final Fantasy series. I didn't get Final Fantasy 13 or 13-2, and do you know what? I didn't just go, I fucking hate it because I hate it. I actually went and talked to friends of mine online who had just finished the games and said, please, sell me on it, get me back into it. I please, It's like episodes 1, 2, and 3 of Star Wars. I will always try to watch them to hopefully one day enjoy them, and I can never do it. You know what I mean? You just keep coming back. I want to be a fan.
We actually talked about that last night.
Oh, did you?
About the trilogy because the new one's coming out and stuff.
Yeah, I'm very excited about
that. Please just do good. Please don't pull an episode 2 because that's actually like my least favorite. It used to be episode 1, but I was like, that actually had redeeming qualities. Darth Maul was cool. Yeah. The Darth Maul fight, Qui-Gon Jinn, and
the pod racing was cool.
The pod racing is very cool.
The kid was not so cool.
But unfortunately, like episode 2 just.
It was just bad acting. George Lucas said, he says, I'm scared of episode 2 because it's a love story. Nobody will like a love story. You know what? I went into Titanic and I actually liked the love story. I can actually, but man, the love story, the reason why I didn't work in episode 2 is because it was fucking bad acting. It was bad dialogue.
Oh, they had terrible chemistry.
It was creepy. He was like a little whiny kid who get all upset about shit. It was really weird.
I didn't like the fact that they essentially kind of made Jedis not that interesting with episode 2 because they're when you saw a Jedi you're like, oh man, they're so fucking cool,
the mysticness of it all.
And instead they're like, okay, we're gonna explain like midichlorians and
that
stuff.
Kills me.
And then they're gonna have armies of Jedi fighting. It's like,
don't get me into the Star Wars talk because I honestly I'll go into a crazy land with them.
And they'll start going like this. Why, Lucas? Why?
I can say I love George Lucas because he brought Star Wars to the world. And I want to do a video called "I Love George Lucas." I was gonna do that because he was getting so much hate, and I don't like episodes 1 and 2 and 3. But what he did with the original Star Wars was brilliant, and I'm hoping that J.J. Abrams can come in, and he said it best. He said Star Wars is a fairy tale, and I think he's really gonna try to capture that magical feeling again. And he knows the Force is the Force. It's not fucking some parasite living in you. Leave that for Parasite Eve.
Yeah, it's supposed to just be the Force. There's some times where you don't need to explain what it is. No. It's just what it is.
It just flows around you. It's part of everything. That was so damn fucking awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's like, do you really need to go and explain it? And when you try to get scientifically accurate within a fictional setting, you're all sorts of confused. Your head's up your ass.
I kind of think that George Lucas thought, it's the modern times now, with DNA. Yeah. I think it'd be cool to give an explanation to the young kids about what the Force is. We don't want. Anyways,
no. We just want to be like the Force. We can levitate shit and choke people. It's awesome.
One thing that's really exciting about the next one, and I'm always get excited about these things, and I always get let down. I'm scared, but they're shooting in 35mm. So we'll have the look of Star Wars. Star Wars had a very black and white look and a dirty future again.
Yeah, the way that it should be. Not everything shiny and pretty.
CG.
Yeah, it's like so the prequels looked like they had way more advanced technology than episodes 4, 5, and 6.
I know.
Which is just I understand like the advancement in technology, but it's one of those things. You guys didn't think that through, did you? Because we all noticed.
Yeah, it would have been awesome if all the ships were a bit worn down. Anyways, yeah. But he's shooting. I know. Trust me, I get crazy. I can really get into this. I love Star Wars so much, and I think that's why. What's he doing with the next one? Shooting 35mm, which should be really good. He gets it. There'll be no more Jar Jar Binks or anything like that.
Thank God.
What else did he say? What else did he say?
I think Chewbacca's going to be in it.
Chewbacca's going to be in it.
So that's really awesome.
Obviously, we all know who, Han and Leia and all that. And the Millennium Falcon is back.
Really? Yeah, that I did not know.
Yeah. That's supposedly that they're building the sets. This is all rumor stuff. We can have a bit of fun thinking about rumors. But it's supposed to be all about, like Han and Leia's kids, or kid, and Luke's kid. That's about what happens to them.
I would like to see Dash Rendar show up in it.
Who's Dash Rendar?
Shadows and Empire.
Oh, fuck. I want to remember that name.
I was gonna say
I would more remember Knights of the Republic because it's.
Well, yeah, that's whenever I saw, because like with the Star Wars, like with the movies and the games, like I like Han Solo a lot.
Yeah.
But we didn't have a lot of Han Solos. Like we had lots of other characters that did stuff.
Yeah, and he had the ship that was kind of like the Millennium Falcon that wasn't the Millennium Falcon. Yeah.
Like I want one of those, just like I'm a rebel and a badass and stuff like that. I love characters like that go around.
The Rogue.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
get the ladies, do all the really cool shit, have the awesome lines,
have the bounty hunters after you, fucking awesome stuff.
And we need more bounty hunters too. Yeah, seriously, bounty hunters are awesome.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think. Maybe we should just get off the Star Wars talk because I get so riled up and excited. You can see it in his
face. He's just like,
no, there's 1,000. I actually wanted to do an entire episode on episode 7. My predictions on it. I actually think one of my predictions is that it's about their kids, and they're both Jedis, and one of them will turn to the dark side and will become the next big baddie, and that's. I kind of think it's going to go that direction. And I see a scene. I don't know if this is going to be happening or not. Where I bet Han Solo, you know how he's so touchy about his Millennium Falcon and who fucks with him, shit. That he's an older guy now and he still has a Millennium Falcon tucked away somewhere, right?
Oh, like the most amazing garage ever.
Yeah, and you can see him saying to his daughter or son, "Hey, you stay away from the Falcon." And then I could see some massive fucking attack happening. I don't know where or what, in some palace or wherever they're at. And Han's fucking he gets killed trying to save his daughter. And he says to her, he says, "Take the Falcon, kid." And
goosebumps.
Do you know what I mean? Don't you see? Because I'm just don't you see that happening?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I can see it happening, and then I know I'd be sitting like, you can't kill him.
Yeah. But he wanted to sacrifice himself in the second one and third. He will sacrifice himself in the first movie.
Yeah. For anybody watching this,
guessing.
If you're like a big geek into Star Wars and stuff, damn well this all sounds really awesome.
It sounds so exciting. I love Star Wars. For me, what they need to do with Star Wars Episode 7. They need to bring back stormtroopers. They need to bring back TIE fighters. They do.
I don't want like all the clones. I don't want a bunch of robots. You know what I'd actually like them to do? Have like physical set pieces again.
No, and thank you. When I got stumped a little bit ago,
I don't want a big green screen anymore.
He wants to bring back practical sets.
Yes.
And I know Mark Hamill said, "Hey, can we?" When he met the Catherine Kennedy woman, I think, but I forget her name, and he said to her, "Can we please get sets again?"
Yeah.
And she was really yes.
I mean, that's how I like. You'd mentioned the movie The Thing, and I think about like the animatronics that they used in that were amazing.
Yeah.
But then I see like horror movies with like CG, and I'm like,
it's not scary.
This feels so hollow.
Yeah.
It's like I can't even get interested in that. But when you see like the elaborate things that people create, you're like, it's genuine, and two, you feel a little more invested. It's like
when you watch The Thing now, and you see that head land on the ground and the legs pop out, and the sound effect, it is fucking creepy, dude.
It is.
And it's 20+ years later or whatever it is.
And it's also one of the best horror movies.
30 years nearly.
It's
so really awesome. Every Halloween you gotta watch that.
Yeah.
And The Shining. But sorry.
Seriously, like Kurt Russell, like he's always like a really badass dude in movies. Awesome. But The Thing, that's one of those AAA movies.
I fucking love that. Yeah, so anyways, I don't know how long this episode is. The reason why I'm going to cut it short, and it's unfortunate that I am, is because I got to upload this. 720. This is going to be like it's going to take me like a day to upload.
Your bandwidth is just going to be like, all right, good night.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'll have to go to a friend's house to upload this one, so... Anyways, I want to say thanks to my great friend here, Alpha Omega Sin, for being on a game chat. Isn't this fucking unbelievable?
Yeah. We didn't even think about it. We just tossed the idea around. Like, no, that sounds awesome. Yeah,
let's do this shit. We're coming back from taco time. Like, hey, let's go to the hotel room. We'll just set this thing up. We don't have great lighting here.
There's like a burrito over there. We were moving shit around trying to make sure, like, all right, is it adequate?
It's the best it's going to be because it's just one of these by the fly episodes. Just trying to have a bit of fun and just kind of talk about our random shit. The random shit that we talk about. God, did we ever get into a whole bunch of fucking topics?
I know. Yeah, like 90 different topics within a couple seconds. But that's what it's been like ever since like we met up, and we've just been bantering on about all sorts of wacky shit. So it's good to do it in front of camera now because it's like,
I can't wait to put this episode up. Everybody should love it. So anyways, guys, see ya
later.